Hey, friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And welcome back to Ask Steve and Larson. Ask Going In Raw. It's Wednesday. You know what that means. Ask us questions. Who's asking us questions? The friendos at the patreon.com/Steve and Larson, $5 and up, or at the YouTube channel membership store. All you do is you click join. It's $5 a month to go down to the YouTube membership store. You say, excuse me, sir, I would like one YouTube membership or many for my friends. And then you click the join, and it's sort of, you know, the shopkeeper will hook you up.
Exactly.
We're on the road to SummerSlam, and it's coming up this weekend. We're going to do a big old watch along as we usually do.
Got that right.
What's the first question?
First question here is from Timor. Timor asks, even though you could make the same criticism about lack of women's matches at WWE that AEW gets, especially SummerSlam having 2 women's matches when it could have 4, why does it feel like WWE treat the women better than AEW? Is it simply because of screen time, giving the perception they are doing more with the women's division? Rhea Ripley being almost everywhere and WWE being a key example of this. Remember we talked about, and that was the focus or the primary topic on our AEW recap last week. There was a sign in the crowd that said, book the women's division better. Yeah. We had a lengthy conversation about, what AEW has done, hasn't done, what could do better. Mm-hmm. And I believe it was during that conversation that we made the observation that we couldn't really pinpoint exactly a story being told really in the AEW women's division, whereas in WWE, I think the count was 8 stories in the women's division.
Right. Yeah.
And so I don't think you can levy plenty of criticism at WWE for not necessarily consistently booking the women's division well.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
But I don't think you can levy the same criticism at WWE that you can at AEW in terms of not focusing on stories. Because right now, the AEW's women's division is nearly bereft of stories.
Yeah, WWE, they seem to be sort of spacing out their big money women's matches over the course of the next month or so. SummerSlam, of course, you've got Asuka, Bianca, Charlotte Flair, all vying, and plus on the side. So that's a story. That story is really centered around Bianca and Charlotte. Asuka's the champion, but then you got Io Sky and Bailey with the Money in the Bank waiting in the wings, which itself is developing into a story with Shotzi out there as well. So you've got like 3 stories all wrapped up into one. So There you go. And then the other women's match on the card is what I think, away from a title, a really wonderful, and it's only been going on for like a month or so, but because of the history between Shayna Baszler and Ronda Rousey, they put together these really great video packages, another way to tell a story. They've already told it a couple ways, including a couple of ill-advised promo spots from Ronda Rousey, but they have really ramped up that particular feud in the short amount of time it's been given. So there's another story that you have playing out on the SummerSlam card. And yeah, could they have added another one, maybe get rid of the Battle Royal, or maybe get rid of, one of the other matches, the Logan Paul match perhaps? Maybe, but it also seems like they're definitely going to be anchoring some of their core programming around some of those other stories that are being told. They're giving it time for Rhea versus Raquel, which could happen at Payback. The Trish Becky thing is happening in Canada, and they might have an additional match after that at maybe Payback or whatever comes after that. And so those stories are there. You can look at a lot of people in the women's division and be like, she's involved in a story that we've seen a beginning and a middle to, and now we're heading towards the end on it. AEW, they're just sort of lost in this morass of like, is she on TV? Is she not on TV? Willow just made the save for who was it? The Mercedes Martinez Statlander stuff, which you like to see, and maybe they'll actually jumpstart something surrounding the TBS title. But you look at the Outcasts and it's like, oh, there might have been something there, and they had a really cool idea, and then it just sort of putters out, and there's no like sense of urgency or even an idea that these are heading to a destination, a storyline destination. And that in itself is not even exclusive to these women's division stories, that affects, like, for example, we've been harping on Keith Lee, Swerve Strickland for a while now. There doesn't seem to be a destination there.
No.
But you go to the women's division and there's like no stories with any destination seemingly going anywhere.
No. The extent of the stories in the AEW's women's division right now are stories to motivate a match.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Nothing like we thought when this whole Outcasts homegrown talent thing was starting to happen. This is something that could be huge, that could encapsulate the majority, if not the entirety, of the AEW's women's division. This could be a huge story that could get that division on track creatively.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
If they booked it right, which is a massive if in the hands of Tony Khan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, true.
And as you mentioned, it petered out.
Mm-hmm.
And Tony Storm hasn't been on TV in a while. We haven't seen Ruby since she lost to Willow in the finals of the Owens tournament, which I know wasn't that long ago.
Yeah.
Where has Saraya been?
Yeah.
Like the only person who's actively doing something that was involved in that story right now. I mean, I know Jamie Hayter's hurt. Britt's been on TV.
Yeah.
They're trying to get her back on the winning track. Maybe she'll face Tony at all in or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's been a criticism of AEW's women's division basically since AEW launched.
Yeah, right.
They don't give enough time. They don't give enough creative energy to develop interesting stories with the women's division. Like for the longest time, and still happens occasionally, the women's match is always around 6:30. Like you can predict when on Dynamite when the women's match is going to happen.
Right. Yeah.
And Tony Khan, his creative team there, really needs to find a way to dedicate some creative energy to that division, to the women's division.
Yeah.
Because you look at WWE, NXT, Impact.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Everybody else.
They all do a vastly better job of spotlighting the women's division than AEW does.
Yeah. No, they absolutely do. And honestly, man, when you mention the creative team, the bottom line is they've got a creative team that can book probably an amazing women's division. It's got to start with Tony. And if it doesn't start with Tony, it's got to start with wrestlers who have the stroke and the pull and the ability to say, look, Tony, you're doing this. I'm one of your biggest stars. We're talking the Danielsons, the Punks, the Moxes, the Jerichos. We're your biggest stars. It's time for you to put some effort into the women's division because if his hand's not forced, clearly he has no interest in having, anything that resembles a healthy and compelling women's division. So at that point, it's like, why are you even bothering when you have the episode of Blood and Guts where literally it seemed like, a 20-second afterthought match simply to put on a token women's division match. It's like, why are you even bothering then? Like, stop acting like this is something that means something to you, because clearly it does not. But the whataboutism is not. To me, it's silly. It's not. It's not even close when it comes to WWE and AEW.
No.
It's not.
No, it's not close. Next question here from Zyshawn Moore asks, do you think Bobby Lashley's new faction with Street Profits and Carmelo and Trick should be a new version of the Hurt Business or something different?
I always viewed the Hurt Business as MVP's thing. This is Bobby Lashley's thing, seemingly. I mean, maybe there's somebody behind Bobby pulling the strings, but it seems like a Bobby Lashley thing.
It does.
If we're talking simply, a name, I don't think it needs to be that, because I think that MVP has done his thing. If it's in the same mold as the Hurt Business, I don't know. I mean, I'll put it this way. I don't think, for one thing, the Hurt Business ever really achieved what it could have. They never really gave Cedric and Shelton like the proper amount of push. And I think putting the Street Profits with Lashley, I think, is a big upgrade over what they were doing with Shelton and Cedric, because they are very accomplished as a tag team. And so, if it's just a name, it doesn't really matter, like they can call it whatever they want. Maybe they'll find a cool name. Maybe they'll be nameless. I don't know. names are always cool because it gives the fans something to chant, something to write on a sign, and a T-shirt to buy, and it puts money in the pockets of the wrestler. So you should call it something. But the Hurt Business was the Hurt Business, and unless MVP is there saying this is the new Hurt Business, then it really wouldn't make a lot of storyline sense.
No. I mean, the Hurt Business is a great name for a faction. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
But I think you're right in that Hurt Business for me is MVP, Lashley, Cedric, and Shelton.
Right, yeah.
And I understand a lot of WWE fans, myself included, feel like there was a lot of untapped potential with the Hurt Business because you had the makings there for a really, really, really good faction. And rather than exploring what that faction could be, they kind of inexplicably broke them up. So I get why people be like, oh, is this a new Hurt Business? If this is Lashley's thing, as it appears to be, then give the faction a new name. Yeah, you know?
Yeah.
And go from there. You know, the way WWE's been booking factions of late, especially in upper mid-card main event roles, has been really good, as we've been seeing with Judgment Day and the Bloodline. And if Lashley's new faction, whatever it's called, is next in line to be kind of elevated that position, sign me up. There's potential for a lot of really awesome stuff to happen.
You know what you could do? What if Lashley and the Prophets call themselves something like, I don't know, the Hurt Prophets or something like that? I don't know. But MVP is like, I don't like this. I was trying to recruit all these guys, and Lashley went out and scooped me. I'm going to put together the new Hurt Business because it's MVP's thing. Omos, maybe Cedric and Shelton. And so, or MVP scoops Lashley, brings in Carmelo and Trick and Omos, and that's his new Hurt Business. And then you can have a rivalry there.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of cool.
That could be fun. That could be pretty neat. That could be pretty neat. I got a question here from Noah Wowa. Noah here says, what do you think happens if LA Knight does not win the Battle Royal on Saturday?
LA Knight win? Nothing. Doesn't matter. In fact, I'm not terribly convinced that he's going to, simply because they might use the Battle Royal as a launching pad for really what he needs, and that's an actual feud. He seemingly has something going with Sheamus. They're going to have a match on SmackDown in 2 nights, and then they're going to do the Battle Royal. Now, I kind of expect it's just going to be a fun thing. He's going to win. Crowd's going to go crazy to get them jazzed up for the rest of the night. Yeah. That being said, it's a Slim Jim Battle Royal. Who gives a shit? If he doesn't win, then hopefully I would rather a story come out of it than him just win a meaningless Battle Royal. But if maybe you can get your cake and eat it too. Maybe you could do both.
I think you can, especially if the idea is LA Knight. Yeah. Sheamus feuding afterwards. You can have LA Knight eliminate Sheamus to get the win. Yeah. And Sheamus to be like, nah. Don't like that.
Yeah.
And so the feud proceeds. I don't know what necessarily the story or motivation is, but regardless, you're right. LA Knight needs stories. It's not like he needs to show up on a pay-per-view to win a fairly meaningless bout. He needs to be involved in interesting stories because like lately, like his promos are still solid.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of like he's just going out there talking a little bit of trash about somebody, and then it's not as pointed. Like if you go back and watch the Bray Wyatt stuff.
Yeah, right.
It's very pointed, and his motivation is clear.
Yeah.
And now it's just like we need to get this guy on TV because the crowd likes him.
Yeah. Hit Row is a really easy target, but he needs some feuds. He needs something good, and I think Sheamus could be a good start for him.
Yeah.
I mean, well, there's one thing to consider also that you and I really haven't talked about because there's not a lot of meat there yet, but it bears some interest, and that's Vince McMahon. And there was the report that he went through some back surgery that somebody in his orbit referred to as life-altering back surgery. If that stuff is serious, I don't know. And it's Vince McMahon. He's crazy. I get that. But I don't know that he's sitting there with a script putting his red line through it when he's got, he's recovering from back surgery. So this could be a SummerSlam that's like exclusively Triple H.
Triple H, yeah.
And we know Triple H loves LA Knight, and I wonder if LA Knight has been given sort of the yellow light lately because Vince McMahon wants to see, okay, is this real or is it simply a yeah? Is there more to this guy? So I don't know. I mean, maybe that will mean something, maybe not. But it'll be interesting to see the reports coming out of SummerSlam as to what Vince McMahon's involvement is and in programming going forward. I have not seen a Fightful Select report. I don't know if Sean has said something on his podcast or not, but I have not seen any Fightful Select reports that say Vince made changes. Or was there? Was there one recently where changes were made? I forget. But I haven't noticed any, so I'm not sure.
Yeah. And what the report about him having the surgery, it was middle of last month, right? Wasn't it? Middle of July.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
Got a question here from Alex Foster. Alex asked, besides Seth versus The Fiend at Hell in a Cell, what other unpopular wrestling booking decisions do you actually think made sense? Personally, Alex says, even if the novelty wore off quickly, I like the idea of Jinder being champion.
That's a good one. Yeah, I thought that they actually did. I think Jinder could have worked had they built him up and had him a little bit less of a he came out of nowhere type thing, because then he falls off quickly and you need consistency. But I like Jinder. I liked his packaging. I like the Bollywood Boys with him. And his theme song still is like probably a top 10 theme song. It's so good. Another unpopular wrestling booking decision that I actually think made sense. Boy, this is a bit on the spot. Okay, so what are some unpopular wrestling booking decisions in the first place?
I mean, here's one.
Yeah.
Cody losing at WrestleMania this year.
Oh, that totally makes sense. Yeah. That one, it boggles my mind that like months later, people are still like, this was a big fumble. No, it wasn't. The dude is more popular than ever. The Bloodline story is still fresh and vital and is doing big business. Yeah, no, absolutely. That was a great one.
Yeah, no, it is the right move, 1,000%.
Yeah,
1,000%, totally. All right, that'll be our answer. Ryan Gorman here asks, why does Cody Brock 3 not have a stipulation? It feels like it could use some extreme stipulation so these guys could destroy each other. What stipulation would you guys go with?
So, I think the reason why it doesn't have a stipulation is because they just want Cody Rhodes to beat Brock Lesnar with no excuses, with no asterisks, with no stipulations. He's going to beat Brock Lesnar in a match, in a normal match. So there's no like, oh, well, you beat me, but you used a leather strap to do it, or you used a bull rope to do it, or something like that.
Yeah.
That's why. I did like the idea of I like the idea of the dog collar match. I think that could be cool. Maybe the bull rope where they have to hit the four corners.
Yeah, of course.
That's terrible. I hated that.
It's a terrible idea. I know it is. Yeah. It's a terrible idea. I think a loser leaves Raw match would have been interesting.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, because something big. Yeah.
Yeah, because at one point Cody said, I don't know if Raw is big enough for Brock and I or something like that.
Yeah, right,
which
right.
Put the thought in my head to begin with. Like, I understand, like, Cody's going to have to hit Brock with like 6 crossroads to beat him, though.
It's going to take a lot, yeah.
It's going to take quite a few. So like, that's kind of I don't know. I could see why they would consider a stipulation and what it could add to the match, because the first 2 matches were just like standard matches.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So let's up the ante here. Yeah. Let's make it Falls Count Anywhere or loser leaves Raw.
Yeah.
Or no DQ or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
But I understand too that they want Cody to get a definitive, decisive, clean win over Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
With no asterisks.
In a standard match,
In a standard match with 6 crossroads. 1, 2, 3.
That should really be one of the prop bets on the predictions form. Cody just sent that to us. We should probably hit him back and be like, number of crossroads. Yeah. I just looked this up on Friday. I think this was this past Friday. It was Friday the 28th. It surely was.
Yes.
And it's Fightful Select, and it said more on Vince McMahon's surgery. It's nothing like, there's nothing too huge there, but it says those close to him claim that it was a major life-altering operation. And then we asked WWE if this would affect his work moving forward, and we were not given a direct answer on that. So make of that what you will. But again, it's sort of the thing where you just have to sort of keep an eye on it and see if that's, because I mean that could be a major thing. I mean, if that causes him to step away, creatively speaking,
for a protracted period of time,
right, and it could. Back surgeries are nothing to mess with.
No, they are not. No, they are not. Royal Kong asks here, after SummerSlam, do you think anyone gets called up? If so, who?
So, like, it seems like Braun, maybe? Did he just lost to Ilya?
Yeah, Ilya just lost to Mello, so Ilya could be called up.
Possibly. Like, the Creeds have a we're gone thing, but I think they're also still feuding with Schism.
Yeah.
So that's a possibility. I'd be surprised if, well, maybe I wouldn't be surprised. It'd be kind of interesting if Chase U got called up.
Yeah. Like Cora. Maybe Cora Jade will get called up.
Maybe Cora, perhaps, yeah. Although, who knows? Like, if she is actually upset with, like, her being left off of shows and stuff, maybe not. I don't know. I mean, you would think, like, somebody would know. It's like, hey, you're going to get called up, so we're not going to use you. And then she goes on social media, like, this is bullshit. You know, I don't know.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's some possible names out there. Another name is, of course, Stone Cold Steve Austin impersonator Phil McDonald. He's going to tell you all about what you can get on the Patreon and YouTube channel memberships. Take it away. Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Stone Cold Steve Austin impersonator Phil McDonald. I got a pre-recorded message. This is recorded 3 days ago. This is not live. That's right. Please don't interrupt me, person in right there sitting down.
How would you respond to me if this?
How would I respond to anybody if I'm a pre-recorded ad? Listen up.
Yeah, that's my point.
Do you want to check out bonus episodes from Going In Raw? Do you want to participate there? Please don't interrupt me. I'll give you a test press. Do you want to check out the predictions challenge? And you want to?
Hell yeah.
Oh, hell yeah, that's right. And, so all you got to do, go to youtube.com/Steven Larson, click
what?
That join button.
What?
Or go to patreon.com
what?
/Steven Larson.
What?
At $5 a month and up.
What?
I said $5 and up a month. You can get access to all that stuff.
What?
Do it now. Thank you.
What?
Thank you, Phil McDonald. The pre-recorded ad read is now over. So, yeah. Also, friendoshop.com. I won't bog this down with more celebrity impersonators.
Please don't.
I won't do that to you. But you can definitely check out our merchandise. We got a huge purple line that we're going to do some new stuff for SummerSlam. But, this is available now. Use code PURPLE to get 20% off. friendoshop.com. It's payday. Hey, look, man. It's payday 2 days ago. We all need to get in that friendoshop.com before you pay your actual bills.
Exactly.
Right. Or steal your parents' credit card or steal a random stranger's credit card. I don't care.
Well, that's the definition of fraud there. That's credit card fraud. You don't want to do that.
Money in my pocket. The bank's eat all that. No. I'm joking. I'm not advocating anybody steal anything. Do it with your own money.
Own money. Yes. Yeah. No one else's money. Alex Danner has a question. Says, hey there, Steven Larson.
Hey.
I do have a question, but first, just wanted to say thank you for all the hard work you guys do for us friendos. I recently broke off my engagement. It's been very hard on me, and your show has gotten me through maybe the worst month of my life, so sincerely thank you. My question is, once Roman is all by himself in the bloodline, do you think it would be more impactful if his championship reign came to an end cleanly, or do you think the Usos and Solo, once he leaves, costing him his status as champion, would be the better story? Thank you.
So, if his championship reign came to an end cleanly, or the Usos and Solo, once he's out, costing him his status as champion would be the better story. So, I kind of feel like they're one and the same. Look, clean does not mean... I saw this take before, and it was something I wanted to do a little video on, but I've seen one of the complaints about Cody Rhodes losing at WrestleMania, as opposed to, let's say, next WrestleMania when Roman's been stripped of the bloodline, is that somehow people would want Cody Rhodes to be able to overcome the entirety of the bloodline.
No one's done that, though.
It's sort of the point of the bloodline is that they keep Roman winning. They are an unfair advantage for Roman Reigns. And so for Roman to then have to fight Cody Rhodes on an even playing field, mano a mano, or mano a mano, that would be a clean loss if Cody was able to beat him like that. Now, I understand the idea, but it's like, you know, you look at, generally speaking, when you look at you know, like action hero movies, right? When it comes down, what the hero usually is battling for is a level playing field against the antagonist.
Yeah, and there's your climactic battle usually.
Right, exactly. After overcoming the adversity and you know, and sometimes the villain sort of shoots himself in his own foot, metaphorically speaking, and that's his downfall. And so what we're seeing is how unsustainable Roman's relationships are and why his title reign is unsustainable. It's a title reign built on a house of lies. Mm-hmm. And once that house comes tumbling down, in steps a Cody Rhodes, who, according to the lore, could have been Kevin Owens or Drew McIntyre, or Sami Zayn. Now the playing field is even. Cody steps in and is able to, hopefully, or maybe not, beat Roman cleanly because Roman has pissed away his family. Mm-hmm. That is the story being told.
Yeah. And I think one of the reasons that it seemed highly likely that Cody is going to win at WrestleMania this year is because, for the most part, it seemed like there was the ingredients there for us to get some measure of bloodline in disarray.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
With Owens and Zayn beating the Usos for the tag titles. The only person that Cody didn't account for was Solo.
He thought he had by planting doubt in his mind, but
yes,
no, made it worse on himself.
Made it worse, yes. And so that was Cody's downfall, was underestimating Solo.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
I guess when I read Alex's question here, I assume it's one-on-one Cody and Roman, no interference.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
That or having Jimmy, Solo actively being involved in Roman losing the match. And I think in terms of a more satisfying end of the story, I think I'd probably prefer Cody Roman one-on-one, no outside interference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right.
Now, if you want to have the Usos and Solo in the ringside area watching the match, and at various points, Roman, like when he's in dire straits, looking to him, help me.
Yeah, right.
And they're like, nah.
Yeah.
You're on your own now, buddy.
Yeah.
And he eventually loses. I can see that could have some dramatic weight to it, but in terms of, if you want this to be Cody Rhodes' coronation as the next guy in WWE, he needs to win that match by himself. Cannot have any help.
Right. I absolutely agree with that. I do think that, I always did appreciate how they did the Hangman Kenny finish.
Yeah. Where
the Young Bucks were like, go do it. We're done with this, and we're not going to prevent you from, we're not going to get involved in this. Mm-hmm. And if there's an element to that, perhaps, where even after all this, the Usos are still kind of torn, like, should we help him? He's got to do this on his own. If we see that play out somehow, that could be very interesting. But no, I don't think that Cody should have to, take. I mean, I think it's kind of ridiculous if he all of a sudden is able to take out everybody, or the opposite of that. I don't think that it looks good for Cody for the Usos and Solo to fuck up Roman during the match, and that leads to Cody's win. Yep. I don't like that either. So yeah, I think you're right. I think that is the nature of the question there. So no, I think that I think the distraction or the interference, if you will, needs to be a bit more metaphorical. It needs to be a bit more emotional. Yeah. Like Roman has to realize, man, I fucked up because this is the spot where usually I could rely on Solo. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how you're able to manifest that in his performance, but I'm hoping they're coming up with something pretty good for it for whenever that time comes.
Yeah, agreed. Same. Broceratops here asks, Gable was over yesterday against Gunther. Mm-hmm. What a match. Mm-hmm. Do you think WWE will miss the boat with Gable's popularity?
I don't think Triple H will.
This feels like another scenario where we're so conditioned, based on Vince booking, for people to get themselves over to be disregarded, sometimes even punished, for getting themselves over. And I think under Triple H, we're going to see that hopefully not be the case. See it now with LA Knight.
Let me ask you this, dude. What do you think the story beat could be, or fantasy book, if you will, a story beat that could be a turning of the page for Gable to get him to a point where, because you and I have said, him and Johnny Gargano, two guys who might have the potential to be a Daniel Bryan type.
Yeah.
Because, he's a bit on the shorter side, but just an absolutely crazy good wrestler.
Yeah.
Tons of charisma.
Yep.
Is there a story beat that can get him a little less on the comedic path that, obviously him and Otis, they're much loved, but like Otis is just a walking comedy act. And I love Otis and I think he's great at it. But do you have to get Gable away from him?
I don't know if you have to get Gable away from him, because before they started doing the comedy thing, they booked him as heels,
Yeah, right.
It's obviously, I think they fared better, got over more, and been more entertaining since they've been a little goofier. And I don't think you have to get away from that aspect of it entirely, but it can't be the focus or their identity as a team. So this just popped to my head. So what if Gable, after training Maxine Dupree, seeing her improve in the ring, says to himself, all right, I've trained Otis up. Now I've trained Maxine Dupree. I see that I am a capable trainer who has helped develop two wrestlers who are now massively over. Now I got to apply my teachings for me and see what I can achieve.
Yeah, right.
And that way it's not like he's leaving Alpha Academy. There's no heel turn. There's nothing like that. And in fact, Otis and Maxine could still be there. And they could tell stories between the three of them as Gable tries to pursue some sort of single success.
Yeah.
And then from that point on, he's got to book him as a legitimate competitor who wins often.
He's got to win.
Have to win every match.
He's got to win a lot. Yeah.
He's got to win though.
Yeah.
And if it's a situation where he's consistently booked against competitors that are taller, larger than him, and he finds a way to overcome, that just naturally leads to potentially a match with Gunther.
Yeah, right. The difference between him and Angle is that Angle out the gate, boy, oh boy, they had no problems putting all the titles on Angle out the gate.
Yeah,
and it's like Gable's going to have to get out of that sort of that sort of the mindset that we as fans have of him is like, this guy, I'll believe when I see it. He eats pins a lot.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
And he needs to win a lot. And
but like Kurt Angle though, even when he was, at his peak, was doing silly comedy stuff.
No, he absolutely was. But the fact that they put all those titles on him made us understand this guy is a killer in the ring.
Well, that's the thing. In the ring, he dominated.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And you can do the silly comedy stuff so long as in the ring, you beat everybody or mostly everybody.
Right. Yeah.
And that's really the key that's missing from Gable. I think if they kind of did what they're doing now with Alpha Academy and just have him go on a massive winning streak.
Yeah.
And they consistently explore the dynamic between himself and Otis and Maxine. He's going to get super over. They're all going to get super over.
Yeah.
Because all their stuff's really entertaining.
I wonder if it could even take, how like every once in a while they'll bust out like a gauntlet match where like Seth Rollins had that killer run.
Yeah, where he's in the match for an hour. Yeah.
I think if you give Gable a couple of just really impressive, which usually means just really long, a couple of really impressive performances that he wins that are really long, and then maybe he wins a King of the Ring tournament or something like that. That's a good way to put him back on the path. When you look at Triple H, though, I wonder if, given how he did it, he was with the pseudo comedy act DX, that as a singles guy, probably he felt at the time had a bit of a ceiling for him. And so Triple H thought to himself, I'm going to go solo, or Vince had it, whoever had it. And then he became the Game. and had that person. And I wonder, and I kind of wonder if Triple H was booking Big E, if the idea was make Big E WWE champion, I wonder if he would have had more of a split with the New Day than what Vince did with Big E, because you always look back at what Triple H came up on, and that was how he did himself. And I wonder if maybe his philosophy would be a bit more, let's separate them to make him his own person. You know, that's one of those things I'd be really fascinated to get like, you know, commentary and stuff from the people who are actually making these decisions, because I think it's interesting. Yeah,
it is interesting. It is interesting. Got one more question here, and then we'll do some lightning round for a few others. Andre Zimpel here asks, so we all know you guys are fans of No Country for Old Men. Great movie.
Oh, great movie,
using the term friendo from it. My question is, if you guys had never seen the movie, what would you use a different term in your intro, or would it be completely different?
So I use that term, I think, in the first or second episode of 10 for the Win, like the first thing that you and I did as Steven Larson. I'm almost positive I used it in the first one, the Aliens versus Predator thing. And yes, I had just seen the movie. I said that, and I just kept on saying it, and then you and I we just said it a lot.
Yeah.
I have no idea, no clue what we would have gone to.
Yeah, no idea.
If it wasn't for that movie. No clue whatsoever. I
no
really
idea.
Don't.
Nope.
Yeah, dude. I've got nothing.
Yeah, I got nothing either.
Like it really is. I mean, it's obviously become, you know, our the way we refer to our audience, you know, friendos,
our community. Yeah.
And maybe there would have been something different. Maybe not. I don't know. I mean, would it have been like more show name specific? Like, hey, winners. That sounds stupid. Hey, tenors. That'd be kind of funny. No, it sounds like stupid.
Yeah, I don't like that. No.
I don't know what we would have called anybody. Because Friendo wasn't even like, because, you know, obviously 10 for the Win was a gaming show. Yeah. Or at least it was at the outset. And like Friendo is not, it's exclusive to any genre or niche.
No, it's not from a video game or anything like that. No. No. Yeah, honestly, don't know. Nothing comes to mind.
No, nothing comes to mind.
Maybe along the way there had been some other reference, whether it be to a movie or something that we would have used in the show, and that would have caught on. But I don't know.
Yeah. What if we just started? You know, we glommed onto the Stone Cold when he would say "jackass." You know, so we're like, "Hey, what's up, jackass? This is Steve here."
I'm not sure that would have.
That would have worked.
I don't think it would have caught on. No.
It wouldn't have caught on. Not quite like Friendo.
No. Dog Authority figure here asks, could Chance stick around the way that what Chance have?
Yeah. There is absolutely an opportunity, because when LA Knight does it was happening at NXT. Somebody was dropping a promo in NXT and they were yaying him instead of whatting him. I think that has a really good shot of sticking around.
Yeah, it's going to have some legs, I think. Cruz here asks, if AEW starts the Hall of Fame, do they induct Cody if Cody never returns to AEW? Absolutely.
Yeah, they do.
First class has to be the elite, including Cody.
Yeah, I agree. Has to be.
Aaron here asks, who would you put in the current day evolution, and what order will they turn on each other?
Oh, wow. Great question.
Well, if you have Triple H in the
Flair role.
You have Finn in the Triple H role.
Oh, that's good. Oh, that's really
Finn
good.
is a Triple H guy.
He is, yeah. And then who are the young
or
guys?
Seth. Maybe Seth. Probably Seth.
Okay,
the
Seth.
Triple H role.
So you got Seth, two guys that represent the future, who are like Braun
and Julius Creed.
Julius Creed's a good one. That's a good one. Okay, take Braun out. Because Julius Creed is a bit more. It's not like Batista and Orton were like big deals yet. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
So Julius Creed, and I mean, like maybe a Nathan Frazier type. I mean, Nathan Frazier, it's been established in canon that he is Seth Rollins' protege.
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense.
So Nathan Frazier, who did I say? Nathan Frazier, Julius Creed, Seth Rollins.
Triple H.
Let me ask you, is there someone who isn't Triple H? Because Flair wrestled.
Flair did wrestle, and as we know, Triple H can't.
Is there somebody older? Because, also, Flair was, subservient to Triple H.
Yeah.
He still wrestled. He was a legend, but he understood that Triple H was the man.
Yeah, it was the leader.
So is there anybody these days that's, older that recognizes that Seth is the man? I mean, everybody, all the older guys, they all sort of, injure their way into retirement,
Yeah, pretty much, or go to Hollywood.
Right. Edge is of the age.
Yeah.
But I don't really see it being Edge unless it was just a different dynamic between the two of them. I mean, they have history, and they had a whole feud about how we're the same person. Well, Triple H fancied himself. Maybe that would work. Seth Rollins and Edge.
Yeah, that makes sense. And Edge can just wrestle kind of
sparingly.
Spot duty.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd work. Atomic Sunrise here says, I could be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure Gunther still hasn't been pinned on main roster. Is it likely that he loses a title in something like a triple threat match, protect the streak going into a world title feud?
No, I think they've built up that title reign. They built up his title reign so wonderfully that whoever beats Gunther is going to get a big rub out of it. That's going to be a big deal.
Needs to pin him clean.
That's why you build up those people that way.
Yep. Edward Munoz here says, is it a hot take to say that I feel the Cody Brock build has been disappointing? No, he mentioned that on the Raw recap.
No, that's a proper take. It's just been a bunch of talking and, some F5s here and there.
Pretty much. Patrick Kennedy, do you think there's a chance that the whole Punk Elite drama has turned into a work? No.
No, I don't think it's turned into a work. It'll be interesting to see whether or not the Real World's Championship stuff ends up being Punk's way of Hey, did you see the numbers on Collision this week?
They were good.
They were really good. It'll be interesting to see if there's still active politicking.
Yeah.
That both factions are sort of at loggerheads as opposed to any desire to work together. Do you think it was in good faith? And I'm asking you to speculate on somebody else's thinking. Do you think it was good faith CM Punk suggesting that he be added to Blood and Guts?
I mean, I think for the most part it was probably self-serving because it reinforces the idea that he could be he's the locker room leader. Here, we need somebody. I'll step up.
It's something that doesn't make any sense. Something that wouldn't happen, but makes him look good.
Yeah,
because he knows that it's not something. And I'll be honest with you, that's not even a criticism. It's not. If this guy wants to show, hey, I'm game for anything and I'll work with anybody.
Exactly.
Then, the hats off to him. And if he's playing a political game, I guess hats off to him as well. But there is no way that was ever going to happen, but it just served to make him look like, oh, I'll work with anybody.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Alex Washington here asks, what are your thoughts on Mike Bailey and Joe Hendry? Do you see them ever moving on from Impact to AEW or WWE NXT? They're both great.
They're both awesome. Mike Bailey should go to NXT. I think that'd be awesome there. Even Joe Hendry is like NXT 2.0. I could totally see that.
Yeah, he's got the over the top character and presentation's really, really good.
Bailey wants to be really careful if he goes to AEW because you see whenever they bring in another, and I know it's been primarily kind of like luchadors, but you bring in a small guy who's really fun and quick and lightning quick, and then you just they'll just job him out to people.
Yeah.
So he needs to be careful with that. NXT, there could be some of the Heritage Cup shit that he could be doing there in NXT.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. Stephen M here asks, best thing you've ever cooked? The absolute best thing. I actually have an answer for this. I know what it is.
Well, you go ahead.
The first time I ever smoked ribs.
Oh, wow. Okay.
They were perfectly cooked, super tender.
Yeah.
My rub was on point.
Yeah.
I just put a little bit of sauce to finish them, not a whole lot.
Yeah.
And to this day, I'm trying to replicate that.
Oh,
that was 10 years ago I did it.
Yeah.
Probably the best thing I've ever prepared.
I don't know, man. Like everything I do, I just steal from my mom's recipe book, like her own recipe. So I'm not going to claim credit for any of that stuff.
Stan here asks, is Tony Khan doing the United Kingdom fans a disservice by not having any matches announced for All In?
No, because
that's standard practice these days. When you have a pay-per-view go on sale, you don't know what the matches are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right.
I have no doubt he's going to put on as huge a show as he possibly can.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Metal Pulse here asks, now that we know there are aliens, should we be grateful for Roman Reigns? He is Universal Champion, so any aliens would have to fight him, right?
Yeah, no, it's a good point.
He is the guardian, the defender of Earth.
The head of Earth's table. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Let's see. James asks, who should leave and go to Impact from WWE and AEW? Give me one name from each, Steve.
Who should leave from Impact?
No, who should go to Impact from WWE and AEW?
Okay, so AEW should be the Women's Division. From WWE, it should be... Oh, man, dude, I don't know.
Dolph. Have Dolph go to Impact.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. Dolph, sure. Yeah, that works. Why not?
Sure.
Yeah. Anyways, any other questions?
No, that's it.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for us. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We appreciate it. Until next time, we'll talk to you later.
Goodbye.